Okay, hello everyone again. This is not, let's try that again. Hello everyone. This is actually a redo. So these last two worlds of the hack will not be blind because I already recorded them and accidentally forgot to turn my microphone on. So here's hoping that that works out better this time. I guess I need to make sure that I actually have an audience here. Let's see. Okay, good. You can hear me this time. Yeah, this keyboard isn't as loud as the mechanical one I used to have, but... So I guess I'll just go right ahead. Assuming I could get the right window up anyway. Oops. Hi there. Sorry I had to redo this, you guys. I didn't even think to ask if my microphone was working. It's not that it wasn't working, it said I forgot to turn it on because I'd previously recorded something that didn't require a microphone. So anyway, we are doing the last two worlds of Bowser's Kaizo Conspiracy. And we're on the Ice World. World 7-1, My So-Cold Life. A song reference that I don't get, I'm sure. Whoops. I shall proceed to get hit by the second enemy. It's a Goomba. Really gotta watch out for those Goombas. And we have Patuis. I forget if we've seen those previously in the hack, but... they were in the first level of the Ice World in Super Mario Bros. 3. I'd always thought it was weird that Super Mario Bros. Well, I'd always thought it was weird that between all of Super Mario Bros. 1, 2, 3, and World, there's only one ice-themed enemy. The Flurries from Super Mario Bros. 2. It's especially weird for Super Mario Bros. 3 because that game had a very long ice world. Oh, hey. I didn't know that was there. I didn't get it last time, so... power trip, I guess. Gonna come back for that halfway point. For now. And now, we go back for what we missed. I think somewhere in here should be a bonus room, too. Let's see. And yeah, everything is slippery. Well, the thing about Super Mario World is it only actually has two settings for ice levels. Everything is slippery or nothing is. I guess there are technically two different levels of slipperiness, but the game doesn't by default have a way to set that. If you want different levels of slipperiness or specific things to be icy and others not, you need custom code for it. But yes, there was indeed a bonus room that I would have missed. And okay, that didn't put me too far ahead, right? This is very Christmassy looking, too. I mean, we have the trees and everything. Best way to deal with Patuis is throwing stuff at them. Dang it, and it wasn't the Patui that got me. Honestly, the danger with the moving ones is that their movement is a bit erratic, and... Yeah, that was a waste. There was nothing there, except coins. Well, I got through the level without losing a life. Lost a lot of power-ups in the process, but... So, excuse me, moving on to 7-2, and it has a secret exit. Buckethead's Burrow. Looks like we have a Yoshi coin activated secret exit too. And yeah, we're underground. Here are the Bucketheads. I forget exactly which game they were from, but I think it was one of the Wario lands. I have never actually played any of those. Like, I've seen Pink Kitty Rose stream 3, I think? It might have been 2. And that's about it. Well, and Shake It. It's interesting, like... I think those are actually a pretty old sprite. Like, I remember them being in Mario's Catastrophe. I see we have multiple ice blocks, meaning I need to have one more power-up. I said one more, not one less. Oh, and we have fire-spitting ones, too. Well, I'll have to do the level twice anyway, because of the secret exit. And as I recall, last time I missed the secret exit. Actually, in fact, I have to do the level twice to get the Yoshi coins and the secret exit, because you need the former for the latter. Okay, now we can shoot things. Okay, I don't actually have to shoot that one. Yeah, this is a good way to introduce the multiple ice blocks. Have coins that you obviously want, and seemingly solid blocks above them. So that tells you, oh, those are ice blocks and they look different. They can probably be melted. Honestly, I feel like in the process of making my own hack, I started paying a lot more attention to level design, particularly from about World 4 onward. Like, especially when it comes to things like anti-pieces. Ooh, almost got by the Koopa. Okay, that's 4. I haven't seen a bonus room yet. I think last time, like I said, I missed a bonus room in here. Fittingly, you cannot kill the fireballs with fireballs. Okay, yeah, we definitely missed something somewhere. And I'm running a bit low on time here. I will say both this level and the last would benefit from having context-specific slippery blocks, especially when it comes to pipes, because at least the pipes in the previous level had ice on them. These don't. One of the yellow ones. Okay, did I already pass it? Is it closer to the beginning or the end? Let's see. Wait, I don't see any yellow pipes. Oh, here we go. I could have sworn I checked that one, but maybe it was like the one pipe in the level that I didn't check. I've had that happen on a couple of occasions. Like, I swear I checked all the pipes. No, I checked almost all the pipes. But anyway, secret exit get. And we'll go ahead and take the secret path. We don't have any switch palaces left, so we don't really need to, but... Penguin's Paradise. So we have Cooligans to deal with. One of the 2 possible penguin sprites that we could have as enemies for a Mario game. The other ones, of course, being bumpties. I remember, I actually used Cooligans in 5.5. They were not as easy to work with as I'd expected, to be honest. I think part of that is they really need a level with a lot of pits, so that you don't end up with too many of them on screen at once. And 5.5 just didn't happen to be that way. I didn't really think through the design of that one. Also, I think we've had a unique music track in every level so far. I recognize the one from 7.2. It was an original composition by Jimmy, which I still think people give him too much crap for his compositions, to be honest. I don't recognize this one. Ah, dang. And I didn't for 7.1 either. But yeah. Well, that's a risky Yoshi coin to get. I'm not in the way of the penguins here, am I? Oh, Super Mario Maker 2. I guess that does make sense. This does sound kind of familiar now that you mention it. Another risky Yoshi coin. You know, the problem with Yoshi coins in most hacks is that all they give you is one extra life. And a lot of the time, they're in positions where getting them is dangerous and could cause you to lose a life. And if you miss after the halfway point, you either have to go back all the way to the beginning of the level, or just not get them. So, like, if getting a Yoshi coin on average requires more than 1/5 of the life, then it's not worth getting. Now, of course, if you use the Yoshi coins for something else, like unlockable levels, that's different. But anyway, moving on to 7B, that's Snow Fair. Okay, now I do recognize this one. It's from... Oh, if you see a snowman without arms or a hat, be careful. Some of them have been known to throw themselves at people. I forget exactly what the level is called, but it's a Super Mario Mario Kart 64 ice theme. And we have moles, and this time they're throwing snowballs. And hey, we have a Yoshi. Yeah, Frappe Snowland. And Yoshi can't eat the moles for some reason. Can he eat the snowballs? Ow. I recall last time I pretty much instantly lost this Yoshi, so let's try to hang on to him a little longer this time. So yeah, these are our main enemy for the level, Snow Pokies, and they fling their sections at you. Yoshi, come back! Already worried if I'm missing bonus rooms. So, I can't fire them. Can I eat them? Oh, well, I can despawn them. Thank goodness Yoshi is invincible. Except to pits. So it can't throw the head, right? Okay, so you can eat them. Dealing with COVID. Yeah, that would be rough. I don't think I've had it, but it's possible that one of the other sicknesses I got just happened to be it, and I didn't realize it. Well, there's our transformer for the level. Little collectible. I do, however, recall making one of my 8-bit arrangements when I was sick with the flu back in 2016. Dr. Doppler Stage 1. Of course, I only realized later that I probably had the symptoms because of a concussion, which apparently can cause flu-like symptoms. Who knew? You know, the problem with these Pokies is they really have no tells for when they're about to throw themselves at you. Like, you just kind of have to reflexively react to it. Yeah, it is quite a coincidence, isn't it? The level itself doesn't say what the transformer is, so... I suppose before fighting the final boss, we'll have to go back and look at all the Transformers, which is incidentally something I forgot to do last time, so I suppose that's one thing we can check out. Also, the overworld music is suddenly fast because it didn't have tempo immunity, so whoops. Brr, now I know how Skyfire felt for millions of years. I got a fire flower in the box, that should warm things up around here. That second line definitely looks off. It's the only one that isn't left justified. Whoops, didn't mean to re-enter that. Anyway, going back to 7B for the normal exit. I didn't actually mean to leave Yoshi behind, but... Extra fast music! Okay, now I'm curious, if we run out of time again, can I make the music even faster? Also, I want that Yoshi, and I need a shell. I remember actually testing that out once with a level where I put in just a bunch of green berries so that I could keep having the music speed up more and more, getting it back above 100 each time. And eventually overflowing the tempo so it went really slow. It was amusing. It'd actually be interesting to have a level that does that deliberately in the joke hack. I don't know. Man, these darn pokies, I tell ya. Honestly, I feel like not having tells for attacks is a problem with a lot of Mario enemies. Like, bullet bill blasters? There's absolutely no way to tell when they're gonna shoot at you. It really is snow fair, isn't it? Also, now that I think about it, the butt-throwing pokies remind me of that one enemy from Mega Man 2. I think it's just called Blocky. It's like basically a tower of cans of sorts. Oh, that's a Transformers quote. That makes sense. It's fitting and it's a reference. I don't know why Yoshi can't eat the moles. He must have some kind of custom interaction or something, but I can't think why they'd need such a thing. Unless it's because after they die, they have to leave the dirt pile behind. So we don't actually need to go in here, but we can get 3 coins out of it. So Yoshi can't stomp on the snowballs. I suspect that Mario by himself probably can't, since I think they're just a graphic swap. Yoshi is just running even more fast. Gotta go fast. Actually, that would be a good title for that level. Okay, I have to get off Yoshi for the flagpole. It's not a Yoshi sacrifice. It's a be free, friend Yoshi. Well, for a level where you're supposed to intentionally overflow the music tempo. So that just leads to 7-3, so we'll go back here. Well, actually, it would fit a level with the 100-second timer, too. So we got all the Yoshi coins and the keyhole, so I can just kind of rush through this. I get hit immediately after I say, let's rush through this. There's something poetic about that. Do not jump there. already at the halfway point. Yeah, I think collectibles are one of those things where my preferred number of them is not 0, but definitely not as many as a lot of games have. That's of course not to say I can't enjoy games with absolutely no collectibles. I mean, I like Mega Man, and they don't have a lot to collect unless you're playing Mega Man X. Well, any of the series after the classic one, I guess, but the classic is my favorite, so... And we're already at the end. Whoops. Alright, moving on. Hi there, Cujo. I forget who all was here for the last one. I know Gamma was, but... this is a re-record, but because I accidentally forgot to turn my microphone on last time, and didn't realize it until I'd already gone through the full 2.5-hour stream, so whoops. So I think this is the last ghost house in the game, isn't it? World 7 House, Eerie Igloo. And we do indeed have Eries, and some ice blocks, and Eerie swoopers. Okay, so I'm guessing we have to get rid of those a different way. Actually, I know exactly how we have to get rid of them. I've played this level before. Yeah, the only reason I was able to stream today is because my family decided to go to the pond, and I basically had enough excitement for one day, or something. I'm happy to go swimming tomorrow, but, today, I just kind of felt like staying home, I guess. Certainly hot enough for it, though. It's 95 right now. But anyway, I guess I haven't really talked about the level. So, the gimmick here, you probably already can tell. Let's see. Need to get this boo out of the way because it is incredibly in the way right now. I don't think this one has a secret exit. But yes, the gimmick of the level is that we have these ice and fire switches to switch between an icy version of the level and a non-icy version. The icy version has some Eries and whatnot, and obviously the other one doesn't. So I feel like that's more of a notable feature than the Eries, considering the Eries are technically only in half the level, but it still works. One I made or one I found is in like a hack I made or found. Okay, so that's how you fill in that block. This hack was actually made by Gamma V, who's also here with us. I do plan to show off my own hack eventually, but not until it's actually finished. Also, Fish and Boo, get away from me. And I forgot that you can't spin jump on the flame, but honestly, I was lucky to get past that thing with just one hit taken. Fish and Boos are kind of obnoxious to deal with because of how their hitbox works. Oh, and we have the fiery little brother of Fish and Boo. That guy again. Well, even Super Mario World itself only used one of them in the game. But I wonder if they could be recoded to be more fair. Because it's like, it is kind of an interesting sprite. It's just kind of tricky to deal with. And not really for good reasons. I mean, I put one of them in my hack too, because I figured I had to check the box, but just like in here and in its original level, it's only in one small part. But yeah, that was a cool level. I feel like it would have been better if the switches actually changed the level in real time instead of just teleporting you, but I understand that that's something that would require a bunch of custom code, and Gamma V is not a coder. So, I mean, do what you can with what you have. It worked. Anyway, moving on to 7-3, the Fast and the Furious. I think I know what enemy will be featured in this one. Yes, it's flurries. The aforementioned only ice-themed enemy in the 8 and 16-bit Mario games. I made a mistake. We also have Venus ice traps. I do recognize this music. It's from Rystar. The first ice level in the game, I think. I haven't actually played much of Rystar. But it's kind of another game that I basically only became at all familiar with through its music. And specifically through people porting stuff from it. It's actually kind of surprising how often that's happened. So good to know the Ice Bros ice balls actually hurt you, not just freeze you like the Buckethead's projectiles did. Oh, and I need another power-up. Well, poo. If there's another in the level, I will find it. I would assume. Yep, there's the keyhole, alright. Well, I mean, we'll have to do the level twice anyway, again. Combo! Ugh. Yeah, we're not getting the secret exit this time, I don't think. Or could we? I have a plan. Actually, though, I might have to deliberately take a hit here because I need to be able to pick up the flurries, and I can't really do that when I have firepower. Okay, so that one's just a coin. I lost my fire flower too soon. I was supposed to melt those too. Dang it. Well, that escalated and de-escalated quickly. Ow. That's not good. Those coins are not worth it right now. One thing I wonder about these flurries is if they're coded like they were in Super Mario Bros. 2, where they actually behave differently depending on, dang it, on whether or not they're on an icy surface. Because, like, they only slide around fast like that, at least in their game of origin, when they actually are indeed on ice. Like, you can see that in, I think, the World 4 Castle, 4-3. Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if that is an inaccuracy with them. I guess we don't need to get that Yoshi coin now. Okay. Seriously? Well. And then I was not paying attention and got hit again. Let's just go. Yeah, see, I'm conflicted about, like, being particular about accuracy of sprites because, like, on one end, yes, being accurate to the original game is good, but on the other hand, I understand how much of a pain it is to replicate the behavior exactly. And also, there are some that just flat out don't work how they do in the original game, like pretty much anything from Yoshi's Island. Poop. So I guess you gotta balance it. Okay, can we get that secret exit this time? Please? Just gonna shoot the flurries over here. I have more over there that I can use. And shoot that too. That is kind of a pain, though, that you can't pick things up while you have a fire flower. I mean, it's a flaw in the original game. I'm not blaming the hack for it. But I'm just saying, maybe we could use some ukulele in the Impossible Lair style grabbing mechanics here, where it's on a different button entirely from your main attack. And also, when you pick something up, you don't have to hold the button down to keep holding the object. You can just press it and press it again to let it go. Anyway, that goes directly to 7-5, so we didn't really even need to get that secret exit. I don't think you get anything special for getting all the goals. Mario 2 carrying mechanics could work, yeah. Or honestly, just... Well, I was going to say not having a run button, but I guess it wasn't running that was conflicted. The Y button is used for so many things in this game. And like, they had another button. I realized that probably part of the reason they made X and Y do the same thing is because they wanted there to be essentially a Y for spin jumping in addition to regular jumping. But still. Honestly, I think the only reason I differentiated X from Y in my hack was to make cheat codes easier to do. Less specific code to differentiate them, you know. Also, it bugs me a little bit that the hardware is set up so that... or isn't set up so that A, B, X, Y, and the D-pad aren't all in the same register, but I'm sure the reason they did that was because of the NES, which didn't actually have X and Y buttons, so everything just fit in 8 bits. The D-pad plus A, B, select, and start. There we go. Yep. Fast and furious indeed. Let's see. I feel like I missed a Yoshi coin somewhere. But I'm not sure. Oh no, there we go. Okay, 7-3 is complete. Moving on. 7 Fortress. Birdo Sisters Fortress. Birdo Sisters, eh? That. I forget where I've seen these graphics before. Because they definitely look familiar, but... we have Fire Bros and Fire Bars. Totally fitting for an ice level. What are you talking about? Well, we still have Ice Bros, too. I will say the problem... yeah, fire and ice. I will refrain from spoilers about the boss, but we'll get to that when we get to it. Honestly, Super Mario Bros. 3 soundtrack is not bad, but I feel like the problem with it is it's designed for a game with very short levels, and it doesn't tend to work as well in games like Super Mario World, and especially its hacks, that have longer ones. I mean, it's still decent to listen to, but it just ends up being more repetitive. Makes me wonder if you could have an entire soundtrack that's remixes of classic Mario themes, but made, like, more complex, I guess. Oh, I see. We have reverse thwomps now. That didn't work very well. Okay, is that a sideways one? Okay, that's a sideways one. And that's a sideways one. Wait, you can use AIs to edit ports now? I suspect I'm supposed to spin jump there. Whoops. Let's spin jump and not land on the spikes, preferably. Oh, with middies, okay. Is that another sideways one? The things they do with AI nowadays. Okay, I need that Yoshi coin. One of the rare levels with 2 checkpoints. So, it's boss time. It's the Birdo sisters. And indeed, one of them actually spits ice instead of fire. So that explains the dual theming. Whoop. Well, so far, as you can see, I am doing great at this boss. Yeah, I do remember the Gamma Presents sound effect. Wow, she does not want to spit very many eggs. Dang it. When you think about it, is Birdo like the only female enemy in Mario games or what? Aside from Cammy Koopa and Wendy, I guess. Yeah, I've never seen, even in fan games, anything like Hammer Sisters or something. Ah. I'm glad that those ice projectiles don't actually hurt you. But meanwhile, we're going with old school. We have old school Birdo left, and she also does not want to spit very many eggs. Apparently in the original Japanese version of Super Mario Bros. 2, Birdo was supposed to be transgender. Makes me wonder if somebody should make a hack... She dodged it. If somebody should make a hack that actually plays on that. You could call it egg energy or something. 43 seconds left. Oh yeah, Cacletta too. I guess you just don't see like normal minions that are girls. You see more specific named characters. Alright, well the Birdo sisters are down, so we're moving on to 7-4, Cold Cuts. And it has another transformer for us to get. And another unique level track. There's been a lot of... Oh, right, those are solid. Rip. I was gonna say, there's been a lot of different music in this world. For not having that much variety in theme. Oops. Fail. I mean, I'm not saying it needs to have more variety in theme, because, like, worlds have themes for a reason. But yeah, the cut part of Cold Cuts is making itself pretty evident. Whoop. That was close. But yeah, this is our athletic level for the world. I think this is the only one. Well, I guess there's at least one more. Okay, that got the coin right. This is one of those hacks where you can collect coins and stuff with... Yep. Dang it. With thrown objects. We have a cape. Haven't had one of those in a bit. Is a cape just like the absolute most overpowered power-up that Nintendo's ever come up with, or what? Like, even if you took away the flight functionality, and frankly, I rarely use that anyway, because why fly through levels and rather than actually playing them? But, like, the fact that it makes platforming so much easier. There's our transformer. Need to spin jump off a saw to get it, but... So yeah, I guess these are saws that follow you. That one horizontally, and we've seen a bunch of vertical ones. I vaguely recall that sprite being coded. Yeah, that horizontal one is pretty relentless. I guess that's why there's only one of them. Why there is only one of them. Honestly, I'm surprised that patch doesn't lag the game. I mean, I guess it wouldn't be as intensive as the ones that make moving platforms as the one that makes moving platforms interact with sprites. There we go. 7 Ruins, Stone Cold Sanctuary. So we have a fortress, a ghost house, and ruins. Whoops. And we have some pile driver micro Goombas, cleverly disguised as ice blocks. And we have some nippers, including the fire-spitting ones. Honestly, that's another enemy that should probably have a tail for its attack. Like, maybe I should make them a different palette or something like that. Sprite status bar and the platform patch. Yeah, that would be a lot. Honestly, just the no more sprite tile limits patch has lagged up some of my levels. Like, I'm seriously considering using SI1 if I ever make another hack. And I was fairly against it before because I figured I have so many patches and stuff that I have to get working with each other already that I didn't really want to add something that intensive on top of it. Ah yes, the snowball that clips through the wall. Well, I'm pretty sure that that sprite does not actually have wall interaction programmed in, so again, it's a bug in the original game that I can't really fault the hack creator for. Okay, that is not a fire one. But it can still get me. Yeah, I kind of feel like, since I also plan to use the fire-spitting ones, that maybe I should make them a different palette so that you know what to expect. But anyway, that's that level done. Yeah, Ruins levels generally are interesting. In Soviet Russia, AI creates ASM. 7-5, donut turnaround. Yeah, this is the other athletic level I was talking about. And I'm pretty sure this is the one that I died the most times on last time, so... Ow. Not sure what was going on with hitboxes there, but... What's worse than donut blocks? Slippery donut blocks. The horror. Yeah, it's a tricky one, alright. I mean, anything involving slippery one-tile-wide platforms is guaranteed to be tough. And, well, like I said, the donut blocks are slippery, and if you let them fall... I feel like the thing with this one is probably like a lot of auto-scrolling levels. The important part is kind of zoning yourself. Okay, I don't know how I got hit there. Like deciding when to move forward, when to hang back. Oh boy. Well, I'm surprised it took me that long to die on that one. Also, this one has no checkpoints, so... I realize that auto-scrolling levels generally don't. But yeah, that makes it even tougher. Or at least take longer. That is actually one of the features that I wanted to add to my auto-scrolling code. The ability to make it work with checkpoints, i.e. skip past a certain part of the code if you've hit a checkpoint. Oh no, not the Megatron laugh. Actually, like right here, I just want to wait around for a couple cycles of that one ice trap, then move on, and kind of stand under it. Oop. Dang it. I will say I'm not really sure why the yellow Paracoopas are flying in a sine wave. Like, yellow Paracoopas already have a function in Super Mario World. But I guess there are technically multiple types of red and green ones, so why not have multiple types of yellow ones? It's not like the regular yellow Paracoopas do anything exciting. Okay, that is probably the trickiest thing to get in the level. That Yoshi coin. Just because, like I said, slippery, one-tile-wide platform. You need to go away. Ow. And another one. How badly do I want that Yoshi coin? Ooh, not that badly. Eee. Well, that only took me 2 tries that time, right? I think it was 2. That's an improvement over, like, 15, which is, I think, what it took me last time, about. Maybe 10, I don't know. Okay, it's all smooth sailing from here, right? No, it's not, but it's time for the Castle of World 7 anyway, and we have Ludwig to deal with this time. And more Ice Bros. And some Smashers. That's another thing that's kind of harder to fit into hack than it is in the original game. Because the original game had 3 different types of things that would make these smash. And it would allow them to move at different speeds and for different distances depending on where you were in the level. Which is actually a clever idea. The problem is, the thresholds for when it changes from one pattern to another were directly determined by where you were in the level, like I said. Meaning that they're... And we got a Koopa stuck in the ceiling. That's amusing. But it basically means that you have to put the Smashers in approximately the same places as they were in the original level. That's not the case with the 3rd variant of it, which is presumably what she's using here. It does the same thing everywhere. It was used in Door 5 of Bowser's Castle. I actually did make custom Layer 2 Smash code and scroll. But I don't... Dang it. Almost to the halfway point. I don't know if I ever actually released my custom Layer 2 code. I wonder the same about my auto-scrolling code, because I know Ladies Man used it, but... Dang it. Yeah, I think I actually have quite a few resources that I never officially released just because I didn't really feel like dealing with the PR aspect of them. Testing them on SA1, making sure there aren't any bugs, actually getting a tester for them. As a bonus, at least one version of my Layer 2 code actually works in levels with vertical scrolling. Granted, there is one little bug that I still have to fix with that. Oh, that was a mistake. Okay. Safety. During the first version, I managed to get a Koopa shell right between those 2 pillars, so I had to keep dodging it. Ow. Also, nice background. Like, honestly, the original Layer 3 castle background wasn't bad, but... like, pretty much all the custom ones I've seen pretty much blow it out of the water. I mean, that's true for basically all custom backgrounds. The original ones were pretty simplistic. Also, did you notice the palette glitch in the background? Because I did. I blame the stripe image format. Anyway, time for part 2, and this time, we have the foreground moving the other way. I forget if I've actually used the sideways version of the Layer 2 scroll. I don't think I have. It's kind of neat, honestly. It was only used in a couple levels even in the original game, but... part of the problem is I'm not very good at designing vertical levels, I feel like. Even though they're way less of a hassle to deal with than Lunar Magic 3, because you can just make a horizontal level that's technically as tall as a vertical level. And you don't have to deal with some of the weird mapping and stuff, but I feel like they require a fundamentally different approach to design. Ow. Nah, didn't make it up there in time. Yeah, those ice bros are kind of relentless. Also, I haven't made a custom version of the sideways scroll, but I probably could. I can't imagine it would be much different from the vertical one. Ow. That is actually a pretty tricky jump. Not hitting the spikes there. Why am I so good at getting hit by those? Ice physics. Definitely the ice physics. Okay, we'll just need to wait for one more platform and it'll be time to take on Ludwig. And we do get another checkpoint. Good. Honestly, it's probably best practice to put a checkpoint before the bosses in games like this. Hello, Ludwig. Why are you green? Since when is Ludwig green? Ow. Comboed. At least he's spitting the... or shooting the bucket head flakes. Ow. Was he green in Super Mario Bros. 3? I thought he was, like, dark blue. Maybe I'm misremembering. Honestly, I still wish someone would make a 16-bit version of, like, the modern Koopaling graphics. You wouldn't have to deal with vanilla Super Mario World palette limitations, so I feel like you could make something that looks pretty nice. If I ever made my own version of the newbie boss, I'd probably make a graphical request along those lines. Point is, we are at World 8, the final world. Starting with 8-1, heat it up. Obviously the lava world, because Bowser does like his lava. And we have some fire pillars. 98-degree song title, huh? Okay. I feel like that palette animation is incomplete there. More fire-spitting nippers. Ah. Honestly, the most notable thing about that sprite is there was only one of them in Super Mario Bros. 3 itself. One of those special snowflakes. Just like the red Sniffit and honestly quite a few enemies in Yoshi's Island. That game had quite a variety of stuff like that. It was pretty cool in that regard. Not today, Dry Bones. Also, I think the tile set in this one is one of the, dang it, classic style ones. And wow, ouch. Ah, the slowdown messed with my muscle memory. Wait, who wants to eat my brains? Oh, the Dry Bones? Such fire pillar, wow. Ooh, how badly do I want that Yoshi coin? Probably not. I don't trust myself to get it safe. Well, never mind. Excuse me a minute. Okay, that text message alert was not anything urgent. To be honest, I'm not sure why the midway points keep respawning like that, but at least it wasn't a zombie on my lawn. Limitations. Well, I mean, there's always custom objects. I should stream that sometime, maybe. I'm still not sure how I feel about streaming, to be honest, because, like, I don't have a consistent schedule, and I feel like that just kills my audience potential. It's not my fault. I live with my family, and I don't want to be in my room streaming for 2.5 hours while people are there, I guess. Yeah, you need to get a new computer, girl. Ship. Airship offensive. It certainly is. And better internet, yes. I've heard so many complaints about Rowan Mithril's internet. I don't know how it is where you are, but I feel like mine is pretty average. I'm telling you, you could make at least some money with art commissions. Whoop. Did not time my jump correctly there, and suffered for it. Can't tell you what this music is from either, but it sounds like it would be an RPG, but I'm not sure. It's actually surprisingly fitting for the level. Final Fantasy IV. Okay, so I was right about the genre. Okay, so that platform, despite appearances, is actually passable. Also, cannonballs. Yeah, another thing that doesn't have a tell. Oh, now we start auto-scrolling, okay. Well, that's one way to do an auto-scrolling level with the checkpoint. Just start the auto-scrolling halfway through. I mean, honestly, it would also work if you just put 2 auto-scrolling sprites in the level. One at the midway point and one at the start. Definitely, I've never seen any game abuse auto-scrolling levels as much as Super Mario Bros. 3 does. I guess they came up with the new mechanic and they wanted to use it. Honestly, those nuts are definitely not one of my favorite platform types. Dang it, I was trying to avoid that. Like, they're just kind of slow, honestly. But whatever. Okay, we have Boom Boom. As I remember from last time, the timing for how long he stays spiked is different from his base Super Mario Bros. 3 version, so be aware of that. Okay, Boom Boom indeed. Well, Boom Boom is down for the count. Dramatic pause. (8-2) Fireflight. We have a transformer to get. And it's flying Yoshi level. I do remember this music. I don't actually remember what it's from, but I know I've heard it before. I want to say it's the Bowser Castle theme from Mario Kart DS. Oh, there's a transformer called Fireflight. Yeah, makes sense. Oh, Mario Kart Super Circuit. Yeah, that would have been my second guess. I guess the Mario Kart DS one is the one that was used for one of the final boss themes in a different hack, wasn't it? Oh, okay. I actually really need that Yoshi for this one. I mean, this is a better... Wait. Why didn't the Nipper die? This is a better way to do a level like this than Tubular. Just because the P-Balloon is janky. Anyway, there's our secret exit. So that side path, I will save until we do the main path first. So, here we go again. I'm definitely keeping a lot more lives this time than last time. Like last time I was often dropping below 70. Particularly on levels like 7-5. Yeet. Honestly, what would make it even better is if you couldn't lose Yoshi. Like, either you played as Yoshi, or you just got hurt while on Yoshi. I don't know off the top of my head how you'd code that, though. I feel like there's probably a patch for it, but I'm not sure. Honestly, Yoshi's physics when flying still aren't, like, the best. I needed that, indeed. Well, we can ignore the key now. It'll be forever taking up a sprite slot. Because we are wasteful. Okay, Yoshi coin number 4. And we have a longer fire bar. 8 sections instead of 6. Something that actually took me a lot of my life to realize is there's actually only one long fire bar in Super Mario Bros. The one right at the beginning of 5-4, that's the only one in the game. I could have sworn there was at least one other one, but nope. But we got the Transformer anyway. And Yoshi does not fly anymore, so be careful about that. Do not try to fly to the top of the flagpole, it won't work. Yeah, I noticed the Yoshi coin blocks. That's a possible reward for something like that. 8 Castle. Bowser Jr.'s Castle. This is the end of the game, right? And we have Para Dry Bones. It's always struck me as a bit odd that they used the para prefix for both a winged version of and a version that actually has a parachute. I mean, granted, there weren't parachute enemies in the first game to have regular Paracoopas. Obviously, the original Super Mario Bros. So I don't know how they could have named them differently besides changing the name of those. Oh yeah, a flying one could have worked too. Halfway point already, huh? Yeah, I guess there's probably a lot of things you could do with dry bones that you can do with Koopas. Apparently I can't pronounce words. Huh. A vertical level as a second room of a castle, or a level that's partway through a world. And has wall-following grinders. I did that for World 4, whoops. I saw the warning sign a little too late there. Also sound effect glitches, but again, pretty sure that's a feature of the original game that isn't easily fixed. Granted, Add Music does change around how the sound effect channels work, so it might not have been a bug in the original game. Yes, limitations. Same reason why you see all the improper palettes in certain NES games. Well, not the same reason, but similar concept. I'm in danger. Yeah, like you can see that a lot in Super Mario Bros. 3 and some of the later Mega Man games. because of how tile pellets are handled. Anyway, time for the boss. Hello, Bowser Jr. Okay, he looks really derpy with those graphics. Like, what happened to his lower jaw? Well, he's weaker than his new Super Mario Bros. Counterpart by virtue of being able to be stomped on and not having spikes. Excuse me a minute. Sorry, my allergies have really been acting up today, and I'm sure it's because we're starting to get smoke. My entire upper respiratory system has been feeling kind of irritated. But yes, as you may have surmised, there is a second part to World 8. Bowser Jr. was not the final boss. So now we're actually going into the castle itself. Or at least into the courtyard for now, with 8-3, Gate of Destiny. It contains another transformer. And we have Magic Koopas. Now, I do recognize this music. It's the Bowser level theme from Super Mario 64. Mario 64. I still say that's one of the most overrated games of all time, but it has a lot of fans. Ah yes, ground level bullet bills. I remember those always being a problem in Super Mario Bros. Because you couldn't duck to avoid them. Bullet bill blasters, rather. Okay, there's a transformer. We need the Magic Koopa to help us out. Don't spawn right there. That will not help you or me. Do I feel comfortable trying to get through that gap? I made it. Yeah, the thing is, Magic Koopa technically aims for Mario's head, not his feet. And that applies even if he's small because of the way his positioning works. His head is considered the base. Oh, now we have a fiery one. Oop. Also a very fitting background. It's basically... Whoops. It's basically a fan game-ified version of the background from 8-3 and Super Mario Bros. Excuse me. Boom, head chop. Or rather, boo. Is that our second checkpoint? I take it we have another mini-boss coming up. It's a Magic Koopa. With hit points. Fortunately, it's still pretty easy. Yeah, I feel like another thing that a lot of Mario bosses have is problems with invincibility frames. Specifically, the fact that you can just follow them around until their invincibility frames run out, and then immediately stomp them. But, again, what do you do? 8-4, Foyer of Fury, or Foyer of Fury. Whatever. And we have some Super Mario Brothers, or Super Mario RPG music, and the moving Bowser statues. Another surprisingly infrequently occurring thing. It took me a while to realize there are only 2 of those in Super Mario World. Yes, I think it was 2. I forget if there's a third one somewhere. But yeah, if I remember correctly, they only showed up in Door 7. Is that another sound limitation? Whoop. Not today. I remember being intimidated by those things as a kid. I'd be like, okay, door 7 is mostly easy, except for those homing enemies. Like, they're relatively slow. I mean, they're no Rip Van Fish, or Fish and Boo. Another thing that they could have brought back in a lot of Mario games and didn't. Ah, such fireball. Wow. Oh, that's the end. So yeah, basically the theme of the second half of World 8 is levels that are tricky but short. Oh, and we finished with exactly 100 seconds. Fancy that. So 8-5, Haunting Hallway. We have a lot of ghosts. Some stretches, some regular boos, etc., etc. And we have a glowing HDMA foreground effect, too. Kind of interesting stylistically. Auto-scroll time, I see. Oh, it's layer 3. Well, I guess that does make sense. Probably would be easier to do it that way than with the HDMA, but... Also, this jerk is back. Get me out of here. We cannot avoid him because it's auto-scrolling. It's like if Rip Van Fish were completely invulnerable and could shoot projectiles at you. Personal space, buddy. Yeah, color math and palette animation, that makes sense. Of course, now it makes me want to try to see if I can do it with HDMA. We have opened the second door and it's time for 8-6, Death Trap Den. So, we have a new type of amp. They're red, and they're deadly. Literally. They are instant death if you touch them. And we have giant thwomps. They stun you. As one may expect. This music is a remix of the castle theme from Super Mario Land, isn't it? So many thwomps. I don't know what I did there, but clearly it was wrong. Okay, that's not how to dodge those. Can I do that? Yeah, a lot of this level is pretty much... How do I get the thwomp out of my way? What is the safest way to not have thwomp? Running out of time. Oh, it's from Final Fantasy V. Huh. Yeah, parts of it definitely sound like the Super Mario Land castle theme. Just coincidence, I guess. Eight-7, Cataclysmic Climb. We have more death amps. How many amps can a human survive? 0 if they're red. Not quite the right positioning there. Yeep. Well, I had to die to one of those eventually. This one's tricky, alright. I guess one thing I haven't tested is if I can swap the yellow statues with the cape. I would assume I can't, but I haven't tried it. Yeah, that was a bad idea. Trying to get between the death trap and the bony guy. But you know, if you have to get hit by Scylla, not Charybdis. I punched the skeleton. Flashbacks to C3 and lost levels. Fortunately, that section is much easier than that section. If you've played that level, you know the one I'm talking about. Well, there's the end anyway. Imagine how much it would suck to miss that jump and land on those amps right there. Eight. One shall stand. More flashing palette, but a lot more fiery this time. The problem with this one is the random fireballs can really screw up your jumps, especially around temporary platforms like that one. Gotta be careful and whatnot. Okay, that one will fall off the platform. So she did patch that. How does she do it? How does she generally not get much lag in her hacks? I guess she doesn't try to design levels that are taller than 2 screens, that's why. Like, every time I try to do that, it just doesn't end up working out as well as I'd expect, as I'd hope. Anyway, halfway point, I guess. What are we fighting here? It's Bowser. Whoop. I'll proceed to immediately run into a Podoboo. Ow. Yeah, spin jumps seem the way to go here, just in case I end up landing on a fireball of one type or another. Invincibility frames, go! Okay. Well, when they say one shall stand, I guess it's Mario standing there, huh? Final showdown, one shall fall! But first, we have an alternate pathway. And actually... Well, you know what? Yeah, we'll go ahead and do that. 8A, Explosive Eruption. I remember this one being a bit of a nuisance for the randomness, too. Because, yeah, it's not our rising hazard level, but it is, in fact, our random volcanic rocks falling from the sky level. You know, the other stock lava version of a lava level. Case in point. Goodbye, Fireball. Or Firepower, I mean. Also have bombs, which thankfully don't instantly ignite due to being shot with fireballs or hit with rocks or any such thing. Another Transformers quote, huh? Ah! Okay, we need to blow up those never mind. See, I could have sworn that same quote was used for other media too, but I'll take your word for it. You'd certainly know more about Transformers than me. What? Yeah, I'm not sure why that first one didn't. Dang. See, that's another thing that really ought to have a tell to it. I forget what's in that block. It's just a coin, isn't it? Yep, just a coin. Yeah, I do recognize this music. It's a different part of the song from the one I'm used to, but... Volcano something or other. Volcano Valley? Yeah! Rock on my head! Yeah, I remember hearing the original part of that and thinking, hey, that's pretty cool. I'm not actually sure which version of it I liked better. Okay, yeah, Volcano Valley. I was right. Because there's another Sonic Volcano theme that I really like. And I think it's from an unused level in a different game. See, port accuracy is another thing I'm kind of conflicted on because, like, I think there are some extremely accurate ports on the site that also really don't fit in a Super Mario World hack. And, like, if they were a little less accurate, they'd actually fit better. Like, I guess the way I see it is, like, if I have, say, a Final Fantasy track in a level, dang it! Then, like, it doesn't really sound like a Mario game anymore, it sounds like a Final Fantasy game. If it's something that's perfectly sampled, it's like it's not even arranged, I guess? Well, like Nintendo reuses tracks all the time, but they remix them. And I see now bombs are falling. You know how I said I'm in danger? Yeah, well, that still applies. This doesn't seem like there's as many of them. Yeah, you know, Donkey Kong Country is kind of a crapshoot, because, like, some of them kind of fit. Okay, where's the key? Yeah. Do I need to backtrack for it? I forget actually where it is. Oh, there's the key. Okay. We're fine. I guess my problem with Donkey Kong Country ports is I feel like they're so iconic that they don't fit for a different reason, I guess. Sorry, Mario, all I could find here was a mushroom. I hope it helps. Bowser must be stopped no matter the cost. Even if it's like $2 whole dollars? Also, talk about minimalist aesthetics there. Apparently, she didn't find any decor either. Anyway, round 2. And clearly the Fire Bros are wearing some sort of helmets because, yeah, they're completely immune to the rocks. Yeah, I realize why they are. It's because of how 2D platformers work. But honestly, I still want to have a hack with an entirely... Whoops. And it wasn't the bomb that got me. An entirely custom soundtrack. Like, it wouldn't necessarily have to be all my own compositions, as long as it was all compositions. That said, had I actually finished Plum's Worlds of Chaos, it would have been all my own compositions, most likely. Well, and Lava Bath. I actually still want to make Plum's Worlds of Chaos, I just want to make it a homebrew now. I mean, with all the other stuff I have going on, we'll see if that actually ever happens, but it would be cool. I've heard of lava bombs, but I don't think this is what they meant. Ah, oh no! Nuts. Another tough level, but I feel like 7.5 maybe felt a little more reasonable, I guess. Like, the problem with this one is the difficulty kind of comes down to RNG. Like, you can't really react to the falling objects quickly enough. I mean, I had that same problem with the new Super Mario Bros. Version of this level archetype. And there you did get an eruption in the background to show you that even if you don't know where exactly they are, there will be some rocks coming. Get me out of here. Well, I made it. That's the important part. The only life that matters is the last one, or whatever. Fortress. Mecha Bowser's Fortress. Oh. Right. We have more smashers. Okay, there are not very many places to stand here, are there? At least we're back to regular amps instead of insta-death ones. We also have Mecha Koopas. Which are another thing that I feel like hasn't gotten many appearances. I mean, they were in a couple games. They were done dirty less than, like, Super Koopas, or most of the Chuck variants. Okay, I'm going to use that switch block. I could carry a Mecha Koopa around, but I find their hit detection to be oddly inconsistent when it comes to using them as a thrown object. Like, you can ram shells into things. You can't really ram Mecha Koopas very well. At least not safely. Also, last time I did either this level or the other Layer 2 Smasher, when I remember the hitbox on the bottom of the Smashers being a bit off. Well, Super Mario World does not have any damaging foreground object interaction that isn't a perfect square, so that can be problematic sometimes. I actually had to borrow someone else's custom code for my sloped brambles in my World 3 castle. Speaking of hitboxes with the Smashers, I'm surprised that hit me. Okay, I'm guessing that pipe shoots. Okay, Mecha Koopas. I'm in danger. You're only in trouble if you get caught. I'm in trouble. Well, that's one way to get a Yoshi coin. Smash the coin! Or the coin smashes, rather. Yeah, this is not a level that you want to rush. Checkpoint number 2, and time to fight Mecha Bowser. I guarantee you his backstory isn't as tragic as Mecha Mishi. Well, that was Mecha Bowser. Yeah, Gamma might have the Transformers references cornered, but pretty sure I can make more Trails references. 8B, Backdoor Bedlam. It's 8-3, but not 8-3. It's D3. Didn't really need to use the cape there, but whoop. And I unducked too soon. Is that an actual word, unduck? I mean, I guess it is if I use it and everyone knows what it means, right? Ow. Okay, part 2. Oh. Almost thought that was the other kind of Bowser statue. Yeah, honestly, for a sprite that I practically coded on a whim as a request, that fire pillar has been getting a surprising amount of use. And, like, it wasn't really even that difficult to code, if I remember correctly. I mean, it required some unconventional interaction, but... should not have tried to jump over both those. Well, that's the end. Only one level left before the final one. HC, light our darkest hour. And we have a Phanto. And P-switches. Or rather, P-switch blocks. Wow, did I time that poorly or what? And I can't hit it again. Yeah, that entire situation didn't work out very well. The fire flower shall come out of the background. So yeah, we have another gimmick level, and it's a fairly interesting one. I guess this would be the equivalent of, whoops, the last section of Bowser's Castle where there's the spotlight sprite. I mean, if you're doing a whole reference to the whole castle, you gotta have one of these, right? The music, not that you get to hear it much because of the P-switch, is from Bowser's Inside Story, specifically the final castle theme. I remember seeing a bunch of Mario and Luigi ports in the section and thinking, wait, what are all these Mario games that I've never heard of? Got a hair on my tongue. That may have been a mistake, too. Yeah, Phanto was another one of those sprites that I had way more trouble dealing with as a kid than I do now. I'm pretty sure it also aims for Mario's head. Did not make that jump correctly. Whoops. Yeah, getting hair in a lot of places is annoying. Bye-bye. But yeah, I forget if that's... I think that's the only level that that music track appears in, so it's a bit of a shame, really. It's a nice one. Yes, now we can enter the final showdown from the back. But before that, we have one more thing to do. It'll be a bit of a walk, but we have some Transformers to look at. But as I was saying, since I have nothing better to talk about, all the music in the Mario and Luigi games was done by Yoko Shimomura, who also did Super Mario RPG. And honestly, there's a lot of good music there. So a lot of potential for ports that I'd previously never heard of. It's a shame that the series is probably done since Alpha Dream went bankrupt. I feel like Mario and Luigi was underappreciated as a series, to be honest. Like, Paper Mario got more attention, both positive and negative. Like, more people liked it. I mean, maybe they didn't so much after a Sticker Star, but Mario and Luigi has just always been the better series to me. I like its game mechanics better. I like its graphic style better. Soundtracks. Oh, that is the wrong pipe. So yeah, any Nintendo second or third-party studios want to take up the job of making more Mario and Luigi games? Or any fan gamers? Or fan game creators, I mean. Because that would be much appreciated. Also, I really wish this game had a Star World right now. There actually aren't any secret worlds in this game at all. Which, I mean, it's a choice. It would be kind of nice to have at least one. But, whatever. It is what it is. Time for the nostalgia trip. Oh yeah, I forget. What is your next hack? I know I've heard of it. There we go. Well, might as well take the fighter flower too. So, the Transformer door. Oh yeah, Super Mario Adventure. Wait a minute, did we miss one? Are there supposed to be 16 or just 15? Oh, I did miss one. Well, dang it. I guess we have a level to do. So let's see. Where would the 8th one have been? Didn't expect I'd have to go through all these levels twice. Okay, so that was number 1. World 4, okay. Whoops. See, this would be an occasion for an emulator speed-up button, but yeah, you know what? We're just going to do that. Okay, Panzer Pandemonium. That's good to know. There we go. Wait a minute. I could have sworn you said 4B, but no, you just said World 4. Okay, here we go. I forget if this is one that requires Yoshi coins or something like that, but I guess we'll find that out. Alright, you can't use those as projectiles. Oh, killer room, okay. I guess I just go until I find a pipe. Or a pot. Okay, there's a key. And I have no way of getting out aside from taking the secret exit. Whoops. That is a bonus room, but it's not Roy's one. I mean, the Transformers one. Wait, I do what? Was there another way to get out of there? Let's see. Whoops. Well, I guess it's too late to worry about it now. Okay, so that's where the one was. I forget that someone actually made an enterable pot block. Because I think it's one of those where I made my own version, and I don't know which version is better. Yeah, I think I can just shoot the enemies this time. I'm going for bonus stuff. All is fair. Okay, not that one. Oh, I missed it? Wait, none of the single-tiled wide or oh, you can enter the single-tile tall ones? Okay, that must be it. Okay, I'm not sure if I was actually aware that you could enter the one-tile tall ones. Well, there it is. Yeah, that explains why I missed that. I assume I can still start and select out of the level. Oops. Keep going the wrong direction. Okay. The Transformer room again, this time complete. Okay. First we have Perceptor, Series Generation 1, debut 1985. Perceptor is perhaps one of the most brilliant minds to be forged on Cybertron. As the chief science officer of the Autobots, he spends most of his time in his lab on the Ark, but courage is in his fancy vocabulary. Windblade, Series Generation 1, debut 2015. Wait, 2015, wouldn't that be a newer generation? Well, however it works. Windblade hails from the ancient Cybertronian colony of Caminus, or Caminus. She is a skilled swordswoman and a practitioner of the art of city-speaking, which allows her to telepathically communicate with slumbering titans. A retroactive character, okay. Bulkhead, animated series, debut 2007. Bulkhead is like a living wrecking ball. He certainly came in like one. His massive lumbering frame grants him incredible strength. Oh, typo. There's a missing R in strength. Along with the knack for breaking things. Beneath his destructive exterior, however, pulses a spark of gold. Bumblebee, Series Generation 1, debut 1984. Bumblebee is a likable and optimistic young Autobot who serves as a spy and scout. Despite his small size and physical weakness, he is not afraid to put his spark on the line for his friends. Didn't Bumblebee have a reputation for being cute? Or else clumsy? Or both? Optimus Prime. The bot, the myth, the legend. Generation 1, 1984. Optimus Prime is the wise, powerful, and noble leader of the Autobots. He longs for peace, but will not hesitate to fight or even sacrifice himself to defend the freedom of all sentient beings. Megatron, Series Generation 1, debut 1984. Megatron is in many ways the polar opposite of Optimus Prime. A brutal and tyrannical warlord, Megatron desires nothing less than total conquest. Everything, even his own soldiers, is no more than a means to that end. The classic villain archetype. Let's see, was that number 6 or 7? I think it was 6. Okay. Starscream, Generation 1, 1984. Starscream is a notorious schemer who seeks to overthrow Megatron as Decepticon leader. He'll happily seize upon any opportunity to assume command, especially if it doesn't involve soiling his own hands. He's so infamous he even got a trope named after him. Another yellow person. Cheetor, Beast Wars, 1996. Cheetor is the impetuous junior member of Optimus Primal's... Primals? Optimus Primal is in, like, the Beast version? Axelon crew. He looks up to his captain as a sort of father figure and constantly tries to prove he's not just a dippy cub. More often than not, this gets him into situations not even his beast-formed speed can get him out of. Whoops. I didn't mean to leave. We still have another row to look at. Grimlock, Series Generation 1. Debut 1985, Grimlock is the incredibly powerful yet arrogant and thick-headed leader of the Dinobots. He barely tolerates Optimus Prime, only caring to follow orders if they involve munching metal, bashing brains, and generally acting prehistoric. Yeah, we probably all know someone like that. Hotshot, Armada 2002. Hotshot is a brash young warrior who will learn many hard lessons over the course of the battle for the Minicons. He has a lot of potential, along with an alleged fascination with something called Jam? J-A-A-M? Ironhide, Generation 1, 1984. Ironhide is one of the oldest members of the Ark's original crew, but also one of the toughest. He's always spoiling for a fight with the Decepticons. This gruff, ornery exterior hides a kind spark. Soundwave, Series Generation 1, debut 1984. Soundwave is Megatron's undyingly loyal intel and communications chief. His ability to transform into a cassette deck not only allowed him to deploy his many cassette minions... Wait, cassette minions? What? But also easily infiltrate human installations, at least in the 1980s. The tape knows what you say. Knockout, Prime 2011. Stylish, snobbish, and incredibly vain, Knockout serves as a Decepticon's medical officer. He will occasionally go out on missions, but typically leaves the fighting to bots like Breakdown, at least until his finish gets scratched. He's the guy from which "you painted my paint job, prepare for surgery" comes from, right? Oh, whoops, that was the same one. Wait a minute. Dang it, I keep thinking Knockout is the purple one. Well, 3 strikes and we did indeed knock him out, I guess. Skybite, Robots in Disguise 01, 2001. Skybite would very much like to believe that he's the baddest and smartest Shari around, as well as a master haikuist. In reality, though, he's not as bad as he lets on. He just wants some respect and the approval of his commanding officer. Oh, buddy. Ratchet, Generation 1, 1984. Despite his sometimes rough bedside manner and general crankiness, Ratchet is a skilled and dedicated medic who genuinely cares for his fellow Autobots and their cause. This war has just been going on for too long. You know, you could theoretically call it the War of the Spark. Oh, I missed Shockwave? Which one was he? That was not him. Wait, which one is he? I thought I got all of them. Okay, no, that was Optimus Prime and Megatron. Starscream. Okay, he's the purple one. Okay, there we go. Shockwave. Generation 1, 1985. This cold, calculating Decepticon scientist has about as much regard for scientific ethics as he has emotions. The only thing that guides Shockwave's actions is pure logic. To him, it is most logical for the Decepticons to control Cybertron and for opposition to be eliminated by any means. Oh dear, he's Professor Novartis as a robot. Anyway, we now return to your regularly scheduled final boss, or at least the path to said boss. I can tell you what the transformation sound does sound like. World 6 is very linear, so I can't take shortcuts here. Could have taken one there, but didn't remember in time. Okay, fine, we'll stop with the speed up. Alright, time for the final level, and Mario's head is getting cut off by the overworld border. Linear and long indeed. Final showdown. One shall fall. This music also sounds familiar, but I forget what it's from. Custom composition, I think, but... Oops. Oh, I got boned. Madness Fortress. Yeah, I knew I'd recognized it. This is like the modernized remix version, isn't it? That is not a good place to stand. Do not stand on donuts, either in the game or in real life. Yeah. It's a miracle it took me that long to get hit there. So be careful with that rightmost donut there, because it's right next to the death blocks. So you can end up getting death by donuts, and I don't mean from the calories. Alright, there's the door to the final boss. Not really a climactic final level, but it works. Time for ultra-violence! Time to play trampoline with Bowser's head. Ow, apparently he didn't like that. Ow. Interesting hitbox, but whatever. You did it! I knew you would! Come on, King SNN wants to have a victory party. Huh, the message actually showed up correctly this time. Also, Stargate sound effect from Super Mario RPG. King SNN. Teehee. Also, the timer is still going. Is it possible to run out of time here? Alright, time for rolling the credits. I won't read all the names aloud, but yeah, we have all the people who, well, the one person who worked on the hack and all the people who provided resources for it. And a nice remix of the Super Mario World main theme. Honestly, somebody really needs to make a patch for editing the credits. Like, I know you can do that in Lunar Magic, but it's just the vanilla credits. So if you change the backgrounds or anything like that, then it doesn't really work. Honestly, most of that bank is a mystery. A lot of it is for the credits, and aside from the part that's for, like, background data and stuff. And I feel like it has not really been studied much. Is that supposed to be digital sign, or is that actually how the person's name is spelled? Well, anyway, that was Bowser's Kaizo Conspiracy. I enjoyed it. Honestly, I've been playing so much Trails into Reverie lately that a 2D platformer was a nice change of pace. I needed this. And I will probably continue to play a bunch more Trails into Reverie, not immediately after finishing this, but not too long afterward. I really need more 2D platformers. Well, if I do another stream, I actually do have another game lined up, and it's another 2D platformer, so hopefully that should be good and feasible. Yeah, as far as the hack goes, like, honestly, you really can't go wrong with any of Gamma V's hacks. I mean, maybe some of the ones from, like, 2005 or 6, whenever she started, are less than stellar, but I suspect they're probably not any worse than their contemporaries would have been. And I think she mostly did graphics back then? So, I don't know. I have no experience with the really old ones. Honestly, I think Gamma's actually made more good 2D Mario games than Nintendo has. I mean, given that Nintendo made the Lost Levels and New Super Luigi U. But yeah, I mostly don't have too many complaints. There are a couple of levels that seem a bit cheap because of RNG and things that you can't really react to in time, like the World 8 level with the falling lava rocks comes to mind. I don't really know what you do to fix that. Maybe have like an exclamation mark icon appear when it's about to fall or something. There was that part in one of the ghost houses where the boo block was directly under a door, so if you didn't get it back into position, it could screw you out of that door. There are a couple minor glitches, nothing game-breaking. Honestly, I kind of would like to see more secret stuff. I mean, it's a finished hack. It's not like we'll get DLC for it, but like, I already mentioned there being no secret world, but maybe like a couple special challenge levels, I don't know. I mean, like I said, it is what it is. And like I said, I enjoyed my time with it, and I'm glad that I got to share it with you all. I hope you enjoyed watching me and listening to my commentary on it. So with that, I think I will cut off here, and I will see you in the next project.